Hey, what's up, guys? Steve here with your NASCAR Week 6 preview, where this week we go to Martinsville. Now, let's talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. I know we had the Easter break in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. This week we are back in action, and boy, there was plenty that went on a couple weeks ago. Let's talk right away about Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin as we look at this here. This little gameplay is featuring the Gen 6 cars for the first time. And, of course, as I do always, this is the hint of who I think will be winning the race, the number 24 car. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's talk about what happened a couple weeks ago with Joey Logano. You know, not that I was a huge Joey Logano fan ahead of time, but this really didn't help his case. Let's leave the Tony Stewart stuff out of it for a second. Let's get to that in a minute because I thought Smoke was wrong as well. But if you're Joey Logano, okay, I don't care about your disagreements with Denny Hamlin. If you put a guy into the wall at Fontana doing those kind of speeds, could you wait to see if he got out of the car okay before you go mouthing off, saying that's what he deserves, that's what you get? Could you do that? Could you say on your radio with your spotter, say, hey, how's the 11 car? Did he get out of the 11 car? Before you give the interview and say, you put a guy head on into a concrete wall at 170 miles an hour, broke his back, his vertebrae. Can you find out how he's doing before you get petty like that? Not that I was overly endeared to Joey Logano from the start, but that really didn't help his case. And it was disappointing to see. We'll get to the stuff with Tony Stewart in a second. I don't know if he was kind of sticking up for Denny Hamlin there or if he was just really mad about the block. Last few laps, a guy puts you down low, blocking. That happens, and Penske had it correct when he was saying that the king of blocking. If Tony Stewart just has to think back to Talladega last year where he blocked Michael Waltrip to go back to an example of him doing the same thing, especially on the last lap. But that being said, Joey Logano, what are you doing? You made a lot of enemies that day and guys that you didn't have problems with before. Now Kurt Busch is on the lookout for you. And I don't think Kurt Busch is a guy I want to make an enemy out of either. If you're close to any one of these guys, and how perfect is it that we're going to Martinsville this week? I don't want any of these guys in a situation where they may be pissed at me. So we go to Martinsville this week. It should be, no one's forgotten in 2 weeks, trust me. It should be interesting to see this week what we're going to have. A lot of close quarters. NASCAR has a wonderful way of evening out like that. Whenever two guys have a disagreement, look at what happened last year with Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer. They had their little tiff where Gordon put Boyer into the wall. Look what happened to the next week. They go 1-2 at Homestead. It just happens like that. The guys find a way to get back with each other close as far as racing is concerned. Look at what happened. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin had their little thing. The next week, they're right back with each other. That's just the way it works. So watch either Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch. Someone's going to get close to Joey Logano, and at Martinsville, it's real easy to just get into the back of somebody and get him a little loose, see what happens. He's got a lot of guys with it. He's got a target on his back now. He's got a lot of guys looking out for him. So it should be interesting to watch tomorrow at Martinsville. We go to Martinsville. We talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago when we were at Bristol. You're going to hear, I guarantee you, at some point during race day tomorrow before the race, you're going to hear either DW or Larry Mack say, time-released aggression. You're going to get a buildup of aggression, and that's why I think Jeff Gordon's going to be your winner tomorrow. I was right about Kyle Busch. It wasn't exactly the fashion that I thought. I thought he was fast. It's a shame what's going to happen with Denny Hamlin. He was fast. His Toyotas were doing a fantastic job. The Joe Gibbs team was doing great. Denny Hamlin was looking like he was going to have a great year. He was going to win that race. He did the right thing there. He was going to race hard to the end. He went wide, allowed Joey to have plenty of space down below if he wanted to race to the finish, and Joey just had to slide up into him and cause the wreck. I didn't really agree with that. I thought that Denny did the right thing. Just race hard to the finish. If there's contact, if you're trading paint, that's one thing. But just wrecking the guy, sliding up into him and wrecking him just for the sake of it on the last lap because, he was going to go by and you didn't want him winning either. That, to me, is petty, and that's kind of why I don't disagree with some of the drivers now painting a target on Logano. But that being said, this week, Martinsville, I think that the Hendrick Motorsports guys, they're going to have a great week. Dale Earnhardt's going to have a good week, at least a top 10. Jeff Gordon is going to win or get a top 5 just because of the skill he has at Martinsville. He needs points, too. It's not just about the skill of the driver and the car they have. It's also the position they're in. Jeff Gordon and that 24 team, they need points. And this is a week where he can get it done with the driving. He doesn't necessarily need the car to be the fastest. He could get it done with his strategy and time-released aggression. We've seen it. Jeff Gordon has the aggression. Jeff Gordon has some temper to him, and he also can keep it calm. So it's a good mix. You know, Dale Earnhardt kind of the same way. Jimmy Johnson, those guys always find a way with Chad Knaus to be towards the front. So it's going to be an interesting week. I think the Hendrick Motorsports guys do really well. You have them all qualifying in the top 17, I think they had on their website, which is really, I mean, once you get out towards 17, once you get past the top 10, it's really not worth advertising. But you got Johnson on the pole, you got Casey Kane 5th, and you also got Jeff Gordon in 6th, and I think he eventually makes his way to the finish before it's all said and done. But that time-released aggression, you're going to see. The first few laps, the first half of the race, you're not going to see a whole lot. But it'll be interesting as guys go on. You got Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, guys like that aren't afraid to trade paint, aren't afraid to be aggressive, and that may find its way to the end. I'm looking at a few teams that really need points. Tony Stewart is getting in trouble early here. He really needs some points. That 14 team needs to step it up. His whole organization, Stewart-Haas Racing, Ryan Newman needs to get some points as well. Don't be in a position where you're like the Kyle Busch or the Jeff Gordon of last year. Don't be in a position where you think you're just going to make it all back up in the second half of the first 26 races, or you'll somehow just race your way back in it. It's really tough. It's hard to win a race now. It's with all the talented drivers, with all the equipment being what it is, with these new cars. It's not just like you could turn it on and all of a sudden run off a string of top fives and you're set to go. I know Smoke has done it before. He did it last year where he had that run where he looked invincible for a while in the middle of the season, and that kind of got him into the chase and he kind of fizzled. But now what we're seeing with Dale Earnhardt Jr., it's not necessarily like that. It's the overall consistency that does the job. As you see, Jr. now leads the points. I've said it before, I think in the first video of the season, I said, you know what, he had consistency last year, he's going to have a higher consistency this year. And that 88 team is doing a fantastic job keeping high in the points. It's more than wins. I mean, the wins will come eventually. You're gonna snag one or two where it all falls right for you. But don't put yourself in a position where you're getting 20s, you're getting 25 finishes, you're getting 30 finishes, you're getting DNFs. Don't put yourself in a position where you're not getting the points. Be smart early on. Those first 10 or 15 races can really set you up pretty for the last 11 before the chase and then going into the chase. I think not enough teams take advantage of it. I think the 88 team has a fantastic strategy. I'd like to see the 24 team do it. I mean, that's what Jimmy Johnson was doing. That's what they were doing all those years when they were winning championships. Yeah, they were winning a lot of races, but they were also doing a fantastic job not losing points, not giving away points. That's something the 24 team has not done. Maybe they can learn. They can start turning around at Martinsville. That's something the 18 team didn't do last year. That's something Carl Edwards is doing a better job of this year. And I'd also like to see a little bit more out of the Michael Waltrip guys. It reminds me of passing Clint Boyer here. I'd like to see a little bit more of that consistency startup that they had last year. They're going to have the speed. They got the Gibbs engines. They got the Toyotas. They're going to have the speed all season. And now we'll see if they can pull through and make it, not have that cup hangover, have that return to the chase. So it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. I look for a lot of the teams to make their moves to get points. You're going to see Matt Kenseth before the end of the day. You're going to see Tony Stewart before the end of the day. You're definitely going to see a lot of Jeff Gordon. I will see how we do with that. It's going to be exciting. The main story is going to be Joey Logano, and whenever somebody gets close to him, trades a paint with him, how's he going to react? I think he needs to have a really quiet day. I think he can quietly go about his business. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good driver. I just think that attitude, there's some attitude that's good, and then there's some attitude that comes off as kind of arrogant and not really what you want to see. He's kind of borderline with that, and that really aggravates. When you hurt somebody, when you put somebody into the wall like that, and it's not just a scrape or something like that, where you really damage somebody, that sits poorly in other people's minds. That and especially you go and you talk about it right after the race. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're going to have some fun tomorrow at Martinsville. It's always a good time, and I really do think that Jeff Gordon's history here, he's good at this track. He needs the points. That team is going to have the focus. I know I'll be listening to them on the race radio. I think Jeff Gordon and the Hendrick Motorsports are going to have at least 3 in the top 10, possibly all 4, maybe 2 or 3 in the top 5 before it's all said and done. I was right last week with Kyle Busch. Not quite the way I thought I would be right with it. Not quite the way you'd want to see with Denny Hamlin being out for a good portion of the season. But still, right anyway. Hopefully with Jeff Gordon. Enjoy the race. I'll see you next week.